Hello and welcome to the GreyTech BIM Global Digital Conference 2019. I'm James Parsons-Moore. I'm a UK AEC Customer Success Manager here at GreyTech, and my following presentation will be on ISO 19650 Common Data Environment Processes within BIM360 Docs. A little bit about me. I'm an architectural technician by trade with, I think, nearly 21 years experience from industry. I've been in the Autodesk channel for over 11 years now, about 11 and a half years, and that's involved many things: training, implementing, strategizing, road mapping, processes, technology, lots of things. Basically, anything that I can do using my experience and knowledge to help our customers do things in a better, more efficient way. At GreyTech, this is a kind of our ethos. This is what we do. This is what we deliver. We have GreyTech Design, BIM design using Autodesk products and enhanced with the GreyTech Power Packs, were us basically working in synergy with Autodesk and what they do. We have GreyTech Simulate, using your BIM models to simulate your designs for use in the real world with market-leading GreyTech technologies. GreyTech Fabricate, taking BIM deliverables through to finished fabricated products and site delivery. And GreyTech Manage, managing all of your company's work in progress BIM data and IP before collaborating with an external common data environment. So this presentation will look at applying the principles of a common data environment as set out in ISO 19650 Part 1 to BIM360 Docs. Including this presentation, you will understand the creation of roles for lead appointed parties, creation of new projects, how to set up folder structures, creation of approval gateways, creating approval workflows to move information between containers, extracting metadata using OCR, optical character recognition, to populate attributes within BIM360, assigning correct folder level permissions, and subscribing to updates from folders. Just a little bit about the common data environment process before we start. I think you'll all be aware of this image. It's been around for quite a few years now, some 12 years since BS 1192 2007. It's changed a tiny bit in that time. I'm just going to put a different take on it. Whenever I explain it, I like to think of it more lineal. We have work in progress. We have a process of checking and reviewing that information before it's shared and published. The whole way through, we can archive work. There's actually archive going on all the way through. Work in progress, shared, published information is all archived. There'll be a project archive at the end of it as well. Don't get me wrong, once the project is finished and that information is kept, but the archiving process actually takes part throughout the project. I'm going to move this around a little bit more to show you how we split those as well. So we have our local server. That is where our work in progress is carried out. We then have a cloud-based DMS, document management system, in this case, BIM360. So our work in progress is on this side, but our shared folder, published documents, and archiving, project end archiving is in the cloud-based DMS. However, there's another layer in here which it doesn't really talk about. On your server, you'll have a process of taking your work that you're working on, checking, reviewing, and approving it, and making sure it is ready to be issued. You'll then have a folder structure on your server, sometimes called incoming, outgoing. Basically, it's a shared folder where that information is going out from and it's coming in to. So once it's gone through that workflow, work in progress, check, review, approve, into that shared folder, you can then push it, upload it to the cloud-based DMS. Once there will be a gateway. That gateway, there'll be someone with a key. It's usually the project, the tier 1 or the lead appointed party's information manager. They will check it against the BIM execution plan, against the information for the project, and make sure it is created in the right way. Normally naming conventions, status, that kind of information. Once they authorize it, it will be moved into either the shared area for actually the wider coordination of the project or into the published area for any published documents. From there, the different task teams can download, consume it, put it into their shared folder on their side as an incoming document, and then consume it into their environment to do whatever they're going to do. Let's turn this into some documents to see what it's going to look like. So I've just created some names just here. We've got a model and a drawing. In your work in progress, the status will be S0. The revision will be whatever revision is going to go out next, with a sub-revision afterwards showing your internal status of what's going on with that file. Once it has gone through your check, review, approve process, it can go into your shared folder with the status changing, in this case to an S1 for coordination, and a revision updating, removing the suffix. And I've done that to both of the files. Once there, we can upload that information where the information manager will look at the status to see what it's actually relevant for and move it to the correct folder. In this case, it's an S1, so it's going to go into the shared folder. From there, there'll be a subscription-based notification to anybody else who needs to see that file and consume that file. They can download it into their area, as we said before. And likewise, let's just put that back to a different document. So this one here is an S0, okay, because it is your work in progress, and it's a C10 issue. So this time we're actually going to issue it as an A1, okay, and take away again the suffix on the revision. So once it's there, the information manager can approve it and authorize it into the correct location. So let's just look at this in terms of BIM360 very quickly. So here we have an M3 and a DR, a model, we're going to say it's a Revit model in this case, and a drawing, which is a PDF. Well, in BIM360, we actually have two areas which we'll go into in this presentation. We have the project files area for the models, and we have the plans area for drawings, PDF formats. Okay, we can use all sorts of workflows for DWGs and other file formats as well, but the two main ones I'm going to concentrate on for this workflow is Revit and PDF. In the plans area, we can use optical character recognition, I'm going to say OCR from this point on, to actually extract the data and metadata from our drawing sheets. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the project, ensuring the roles are created in account admin, fill out required information and add the required services. We're going to add administrators to the project. We're going to create the proper folder structure. You can use a template for doing this if you've done it on other projects before. We're going to add attributes to the folders. We're going to apply permissions to the folders. And we're going to create title blocks, otherwise known as OCR templates for the plans area. We're going to create some reviews. By reviews, I mean we're going to create approval workflows for permission gateways between work in progress and shared, plans and the project file area, work in progress and published, again for the plans and project files areas. We're going to invite other team members and apply roles to them on the project with the right permissions. And then we test the project. It's something that we don't do enough, testing the project, making sure it works. We just kind of fire into it. So to start off with, we're going to look at some roles within BIM360. So under your account admin, there's several bits here, but we've got roles just on the right. If we click on that, it will take us to this dialog. And in here, we can start writing a role. Then apply services to them, permissions to them. I've created some in here already. And you can see you can apply different permissions all through. So for this one, I'm just going to create one for information originator for a civil engineer. And just add it. Once we've done that, we can apply the services that they'll be able to use on the project. Depends on what they've subscribed to. We're then going to create a project, again under account admin, We just go to projects and add, and we just fill in the data. It's very simple to do this. It is what you see is what you get. So I'm just going to give it a project name. What the project type is, construction, the start date, the project end date, project number, you can put an image of the project on here so it's easy to identify, fill in the address of the project, put the locality in terms of time, languages as well. Once we've done that, we can save and finish. Now what we need to do is activate the services so that we can add administrators for those as well. So in this case, I'm just going to keep it really simple. We're just going to use document management, which comes with BIM360 docs. I can use a project template from ones that I've created before. I'm not going to do it in this case. I'm going to build from scratch. I'm going to add a project admin for this, and that's myself. And the company name. You can add more than one project admin as well, but in this case, I'm just going to keep it just to one. It's now active, so I can come down the bottom and finish it. I could add other services as well, but for this case, I'll keep it nice and simple. Once I've done that, my project exists under account admin, and we can go to it. So from here, I can add project members, give them a role and tell them what company. For this, I'm going to be the information manager, lead appointed party. But I can add other project members as well. So one of my colleagues, Grant, I'm going to use my colleagues for all of the roles on this. And we'll just add Ian Robinson as well. Once that's done, I press select. It will add them. It will automatically pull out their company and any roles that have already been assigned, but I can just add roles to them as well. On the right-hand side, once I've done this as well, I can give them project admin and give them access to Insight as well if I need to. And we'll add them to the project. There we go. They'll then get a notification through on their email saying that they've been added to the project. Once we've done that, document management will be available. So we'll go to our document management application. As you can see on the left, we have our plans and project files areas. If I click on the three dots, I can simply just add folders. I'm going to give them an alphanumerical system, so just giving them a number first. I'm going to call this work in progress gateway. You can call it anything you want. It's not work in progress. It's not where we're doing work for this, but it will be a folder for our gateway that we can create some permission approval workflows and reviews later on. 2, shared. And then we'll create another one for published as well. Inside work in progress, I'm going to create some more folders. I'm going to create folders for each consultant. So I'm going to create the first one for the architect. Another one for the structural engineer. and then one for the mechanical engineer. Once I've done that, I can repeat that same process down in project files. Once in this area, I can go to the folder, and on the right hand side here, I can go to add attributes. In this area, we can give the attribute a name. In this case, I'm going to type originator, and it's going to be a text field. And you see how it's added it to the columns there. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add, also we can move this up and down as well, and it will slide it left and right in terms of where it's held in the column area. I'm going to add another attribute. This time I'm going to call it volume. You can see what I'm doing. I'm creating columns here based on attributes for the data and metadata from ISO 19650. I'll create another one for level. And for type, the document type. And then role. And I'm going to create one for sheet number as well. I've done all of these as text fields in Notes. I'm now going to create some for the metadata as well. So I'm going to do this for status, but you can't use status because there's already a column for the attributes for status, so it can't do it. So I'm going to call this suitability. Now, you can do this from a drop list, and we'll do that for our project files. But because we're going to use OCR, we're not. We're just going to use it as a text field, just going to pull out that data. So when it comes to doing this for the project files, I'm going to do a drop list and put in values before we do it for this. So there's suitability or status. And then we're going to do revisions as well. And we can reorder them to whatever we want. So you can see now it aligns to the containers within ISO 19650 Part 2, the UK Annex. And that will go down into any subfolders as well. As you can see. Once we've done that, we can go to permissions. It will open the dialog box on the right, where we can add different users for different permissions for each folder. So in this case, I'm in the Architect Work in Progress Gateway. So what I'm going to do is add the Architect Information Manager, whoever's responsibility it is, to upload to that folder. But that's all. You can change the permission level here. So really, upload is not quite enough for me because you want to be able to like remove things or download things afterwards if you want. So I'm going to do view, download, and upload. But bearing in mind, it's only for the architect. I'm going to do the same for permissions for the structural folder. But this time, it's going to be whoever's responsible for the structural engineer for uploading their data to BIM360. And it could be more than one person. You could do it to the entire company. But again, I'm going to base the loading and uploading permissions in the same way. I'm going to do that to each folder. Once I've done that, I'm going to go to the shared folder. So the shared folder is going to be different because all of those users are going to have permission to it. So you see how I'm giving them all permission to this folder, and possibly other users at the practices, at the companies, other roles as well, or anybody at an entire company. This time, I'm going to give them download rights. There we go. And again, they'll get notifications in their email. If you want to change the permissions at any time, you can do. Now, all you want to do is upload some of our PDFs. You can either use the upload files buttons, or you can drag them directly into it. I've got a multi-sheet PDF here that's been exported from Revit. Once you've done this, it's just going to give you this information on uploading the file, telling you what it's going to do. You can tell it not to show this again, but because I demonstrate it, I'm not going to untick that in mine. You leave that a few moments. It's just going to configure it. Then it's going to ask you if you want to use a template to use. But we don't have a template because it's the first time we've done it on the project, so I'm just going to tell it to continue. It's going to look at the information within those title blocks. And then from here, we're going to review your document, and I'm going to press this button for defining a new OCR on this. To start off with, I'm going to simply select a region within that title block by picking this button and dragging a window over the area containing all of the information. From here, I'm going to just zoom in so it's easier to select things. You can pan it around as well. And I'm going to give it a name for this title block information. So we'll call this A0 title block. But obviously it could be company specific as well. All you do then for the different areas, you pick in the number select area and you drag a window over the information that it needs to read. And you can see how it's populated that information. I'm going to do the same for the title. And now I'm going to select more attributes. So using the attributes that I created on the previous screen, I can add these to this area. Once that's done, we can select areas for each of them so it can read all of the different containers from it. You'll note what I've done, I've got the long number in there, so it pulls it out. There's a reason why, I'll show that in a little while. And then I've separated all of the different containers into separate areas in the title block. That's so that OCR can read it easier. It won't pick up any hyphens, or if you've got ones instead of zeros where they'll squish up, it just means it's a much easier way of reading that title block information. We can save lots of time in our project doing this. So again, as you can see, I'm just methodically going through each container and selecting the data. You can see how it's populating it as we do it. So for suitability, I'm going to choose status. Make sure you allow enough room for the information. Now I'm going to save that. And go to the next screen. It's just extracting all of that information from all of the different PDFs in that multi-sheet PDF. And you can see how it's populated the information for all of them. There is a deliberate mistake in here. See if you can spot it, but we will look at it a little bit later on when we look at running our reviews. So once that's done, it's all been published. It takes a few minutes to publish it, I won't lie. But it's saying that's complete. Showing folder. And you can see our PDFs and how it's extracted the information and populated them into the data in the columns. You can see levels missing just there because it was missing from the original document that came up. I can tell the way it was done because it's in Revit, it wasn't in the name or in the metadata as well. One of the best things that you can see here is you can zoom in and out, it's a PDF, and actually it uses hyperlinks. So if there is a section or elevation or detail that's been uploaded, it remembers the hyperlinks. From here, I can do issues and markups as well on the documents. But as you can see, that information is in the architectural work in progress gateway. It's not in the shared folder. So we need the workflow created to take our information and approve it from there. Under project admin, we go into here and create our reviews. So create approval workflow. So you can choose as many steps as you want, and there's different ways: 3-step, 2-step. There's lots of ways of doing it. I'm just going to simple 1-step approval on this. I'm going to give it a name. So plans, work in progress, approval gateway to shared. Now I'm just going to copy some of that into the description, make it a little bit more descriptive. Okay, once I've done that, I'm going to tell it who needs to be notified and who needs to be approvals on, do the actual approvals on this. So who can initiate it, and now who can actually approve it. You can also give them a time allocation on this as well. You can set the different statuses for it, so you can approve it, reject it, approve with comments. For me, if you're giving it comments, you're not approving it. So I'm going to do rejected with comments. And then tell it, if I choose this, it will reject it. And what we can also do down here is set an action upon completion. So I'm going to tell it to copy this file into a folder once it's been approved. So I'm going to copy it to the shared folder. So once it's been approved by the information manager, or whoever the final review is on this, it will copy it into this folder. And you can do it so that each one can be done in turn, or you can set it so that they can only be moved into that folder, copied into that folder, once everything's been approved. So we've got plans, work in progress, approval gateway to shared, and we can do the same for published as well. Because obviously, if a file goes in there and it's actually ready for publish, we need to move it and copy it from the architect's gateway into the published area. Apart from that, it's very similar. We're duplicating this, so it's going to contain most of the information the same. And then once you've done it, just a quick check through, make sure it's all okay, and we duplicate it, then we've got both. Now that's brilliant, that's for our plans, but obviously we need to do it for our project files as well. So in those ones, we just change it. So instead of going from the architectural work in progress area into the shared area and the plans, we're going to change this area so that it goes into the project documents one. So now what we do, we go back into our document management, into our folders, and we can highlight the files that we want to do it to. We're going to create a submit for review. We choose which approval workflow we want to use. So I'm going to go plans, work in progress to shared. And I'm going to submit all of these files. It's going to give it a number. I've already done one on this as a test just to make sure it worked. So now it's told me review 2 is open. Under reviews, you can see which ones we've got. There we go, we had a little test one before. And under here, I'm just going to go open. And you can see all the files that are due to be reviewed and what version they are as well. So from in here, you can just use the same tools for looking at them, commenting, and doing markups. So I know there's a problem with this one because the naming isn't correct. I'm going to start a review. So we're going to go through, I'm going to approve the ones that I know are right. And I can select a status for all of selected. So I'm just going to approve all of these ones. But then the naughty one, let's do something different. So with this one, I'm going to reject with comments. I'm going to go into the file in this case, and I'm actually going to leave a comment here. I could mark it up and show where it is as well, but I'm going to be descriptive. And then we're going to submit. I'm going to write a comment in here to let whoever is receiving the information who uploaded it know that the drawing's approved, apart from this drawing, which needs to have the number changed. And you can see how there's a comment in there and it's been rejected. So it's just going to work through that. And then we go back to our folders. If we look in the shared folder, you'll see the information that has been approved is now there and available for whoever has permissions for that folder. We can also allow them to subscribe to the folder, and we do recommend that, so that as soon as any information has been loaded into it, the companies and the individuals that have permission for those folders do get pinged with an update. So this time I'm going to go to the project files and I'm going to load a couple of Revit models so you can see a similar process. So I've got two Revit files from the architect's model. And you can see they're in there. Now with these, it's not pulling out any data, so we can, at this point, go in and change the suitability and change the revision. So I did the suitability via a drop-down, and a revision, I'm just going to type. So project files does not use OCR. And again, I can submit those for the same approval processes. We've come to the end of the presentation. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. You see, it's not difficult to do. We're just aligning the great workflows that come as part of BIM360 with the processes that are stated in ISO 19650. Especially, in this case, we've aligned it to Part 2, the UK Annex, for the file naming containers as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'm now going to open up the forum to any questions. Again, thank you very much.